Hi, my name is Phil Mendenhall. I'm going to be your host. If you like what you see, please press the like button, subscribe, or hit the notification bell. It sure helps our growing business here that we can keep bringing you more and more films on the outdoors. Today I'm going to go over some fishing tackle for crappie. And my friend and I are going to go down to Lake Arctabutla, is our name to say, in Mississippi. And I'll start with these 10-foot fishing rods. I've had them since almost 40 years now. And we started using these because they're so sensitive that you can really see what's going on. And you can feel every bite you get from the crappie. Before, we were missing all kinds of strikes from crappie, and we went to some seminars and found out that these rods really work well for us. We're using a 10-foot graphite rod. I use like a 6-pound test on all of them. That's the line that you're using. And some of them I'm using spider wire, and some of them I'm just using regular fishing line, a nylon fishing line. So I'll show you what we've got here. Okay, here's the reel, the rod, the jigs, and the 10-foot pole that goes all the way out there. Now, these rods, this part here I just put on there. These are floaters. Oh, hi! In case rod goes over the boat, we'll be able to rescue the rod. It'll keep it floating. But we're going to be going after 2.5, 3-pound crappie down on the lake down there. Hopefully we can do pretty well. The lures we're using are jigs. You can kind of see the size of these. They're not real big, but you know, we've used them down in Texas and we just caught lots and lots of fish with them. And we may go to some bigger jigs. We're using multicolored jigs. You can see them there. And we may go to bigger ones, but they let the water out of the lake down there by about 30 to 40 feet. So we'll be fishing in about 15 feet of water. And there's a lot of structure down there that holds the crappie. So these are some extra rods I'm going to take along. These are just for bass fishing. And these are for larger crappie. This one is. And we'll just take some spinners. I'm going to bring a bunch of different lures down there just to see what I can use that works. But I'll go over the crappie jigs. This is some of the equipment we're going to use as far as jigs. You can kind of see all the different sizes and colors. We've got spinners in there. There's a bunch of different ones. This has taken me years and years to accumulate all this stuff. Great big jigs in there. All different kinds of small lures. These are some of the small lures that we might use. I haven't tried those before with crappie, but we're going to give them a shot. More jigs, bigger ones, all the different colors, and a couple jigs there on top, and all these different type styles. I mean, this is probably the biggest jig body we'll be using right here, but we've just got a huge assortment of stuff, and we may even be fishing with a bobber, depending on the depth where we're finding the fish. But we usually tie on 2 jigs with each of our rods, and we fish with 2 rods, 1 in each hand.
One hand on you! One hand on you!
Really increases your odds. There have been times we've caught 150 crappie right next to the ice on some of the lakes down here, catching doubles. So it's really fun doing this. It's a good eating fish. Crappie are just absolutely wonderful to eat. So if you ever get a chance to go out, this is some of the equipment you can use. It's fairly inexpensive. The spider line, I find it's really hard to break it. A 6-pound test is like having a 20-pound test. And you'll bend your hook on a snag and it'll pull out before you'll break your line 90% of the time with these small crappie jigs. It's just absolute money saver as far as I'm concerned, how many jigs you'll save by pulling them off some of the stuff, because crappie like to get into brush piles and heavy timber and stuff like that. So, and they will get you wrapped up and you will definitely lose some jigs. But with that spider wire, I found that I've really saved myself losing a lot of my equipment. So anyway, I will show you how to tie on jigs here in a little while, and we'll get started with how to double tie 2 jigs on there. Because you want to loop, there's a certain way you want those jigs on there, you'll see this, and it's just basically tying two first knots, just looping it around the jig. You can see the little loop there on each of them. And they hang freely like that, and they look more realistic than anything else that I've tried. I used to just tie, a fisherman's knot onto on just a single jig and try to fish like that, and I just wasn't catching as many. So this proves to be a really good technique to use. So I'll show you that in the next little clip. Okay, we're back inside now. That was a little bit chilly out there. It is late November, and as you can tell by the leaves or lack of leaves on the trees, I should say that it's getting pretty cold. It's about 35 degrees out. My fingers are getting a little bit chilly, and it's hard to tie, and it was harder to show you outside. So I'm going to come in and tie those knots on how to put a double jig on a line. All right, first we're going to take our jig. Here it is right here. I'm going to put the line through it, run it up about a foot, okay, and all you do is you have a loop on it now. So all you're going to do is tie it onto it, circle it around the loop twice. So I've got it looped, and I've got that big loop there. So I go around once, I go around twice, and then I tie that double loop right down fairly close to the jig. See, that lets the jig hang just like that. And then we're going to take the second one, and we'll do the same thing with it. So we just put the line through the eyelet, make a loop. You want it big enough so that you can work with it with your fingers. I'm getting old and blind here, so it's harder for me to do this. So I just pinch those two together just like that. All right, and I've got this double loop right here, so I just go into it once, and into it twice. And it's just making a first knot and just looping it twice is basically all you're doing. And then you slide that knot right down close to the jig, and there it holds it. So now you have two jigs tied to your line, and you can fish with a couple jigs at once. All right. Hope that was good for you and you learned something there. Simple knot to tie. We'll catch you a whole bunch more fish than just tying a fisherman's knot or any knot that you want to tie onto these. It'll help a whole lot more. So, all right, that's it for the tying.